Welcome to the Seahawkers podcast with your host, Adam Emmert.
It's unbelievable. I can't wait to never see Big Guns Hockey League ever again in my life.
And Brandon Schultz.
How is that unsportsmanlike even? To me, that seems overly sportsmanlike. That's extra sportsmanlike.
Go Hawks!
On a quest to own the West, yippee-ki-yay, we make the ground shake. On game day, 12 man, yeah, he's feeling it is vital.
Welcome to the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandon Schultz, member of the military Seahawkers. Joining me, my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
Hello, Brandon. It's great to come off a win. Great to come off an amazing trip to the Clink. Monday Night Football. Lucky hat in full force. This was fun. It was a super fun trip and a super fun game. Wow. This is one of my more fun experiences in Seattle.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun, and I feel like we're still recovering a couple days out.
I know we are. It's been tough. I understand this show has come out a little later than usual. We did give the post-game recap with the UK Seahawkers podcast guys, the Pedestrian podcast. That was a lot of fun. We may have all had a few beers by that point, but it still was a good time.
I think you can usually judge it's a good beer to catfish ratio for the shows.
There it is. And that was a lot of fun. Those guys were great. So big thanks to Stu and Adam.
I know Ross is going to have to make it out next time.
Yeah, absolutely. We did miss meeting up with Ross for sure, but pretty cool, an exciting game, a lot to unpack there. Like I said, we did a lot of that in the post-game show, so if you're looking for a ton of the Bills coverage, check that out. We will get into some of it here today, but we also have the big matchup against the New England Patriots coming up on Sunday night. Sunday night. Here it comes, Brandon.
This is it. This is one of the biggest games of the year, and it's coming up against the Patriots. We have to go on the road, but it's a primetime game. They don't stick us with one of those 10 a.m. Pacific starts, so nope. We don't have an excuse this time. This is prime time. This is the time of the night where the Seahawks perform their best, and they give us the Patriots. So now the Patriots are coming off a bye, and I'm sure because we did get a call from Dave Bloomquist that we'll have to play. I'm sure he'll get into that as well.
I'm sure he will. Yeah.
So we'll get into that. We mentioned with the Pedestrian podcast guys, Tremaine Pope back in Seattle, added to the practice squad.
White
after
smoke
last week. Yeah, white smoke coming from the VMAC. So that was happy to see. And but one thing, I think after this week of elections, people probably not interested in anything we have to say about politics. They get that other places. They don't come here for that. But unfortunately, thanks to Bill Belichick, we do have to talk politics on the show, and we will explain why.
Yeah, it'll be small, I promise, because we all are a little shell-shocked, this week. Not with the result per se, just more with the whole proceedings and everything that's been coming up to it the last couple of weeks. And I'm over it, man. I'm over it. I don't really care. I'm ready to talk ball, man.
That's what I'm saying. It's time to talk football. That's what people tune in for. And man, what a great day, though, that was Monday night. Got to hang out with a bunch of listeners of the show, Ross and Aaron, Roe and Jeremy, Jay, all the other people from the military Seahawkers tailgate that we hung out with there. Man, and not only that,
and Kevin was there as well.
Right, Kevin showed up for Sunday night. And good to run into him. And then the military Seahawkers, our tailgate there was catered by Morton's. They had actually won a Morton's tailgating competition to where the local Seattle Morton's came and like put out a huge spread for all the military folks there. It was amazing.
Holy smokes, was it amazing. And I was not familiar with Morton's before this, the steakhouse, that sort of thing. They had some delicious food. In fact, and this might sound weird, the best deviled egg I have ever had in my life.
Oh my goodness, those deviled eggs!
Why, Brandon? Why were there was
bacon in it, and bacon makes everything bacon.
Because when life gives you lemons, you don't make lemonade. You kick at the balls and you demand something better, like bacon. Because bacon's delicious. It was awesome.
It was. They were incredible, and all the all the chefs that they brought down and the folks there. That was a good time. Holy smokes.
It was a fantastic time. Special thanks to the Military Seahawkers for allowing us to come and hang out at the event and everybody that was there. Pretty cool. But
well, speaking of food, Adam, people are probably wondering. They're wondering about Michael in San Diego and
yes.
whether or not he had breakfast this week before the game.
I'm on pins and needles, man. Like
I think it's time to find out what Michael did for breakfast.
Michael's breakfast.
Here's an email from Michael in San Diego. Even though it was a Monday night game, I stepped up for the 12s, and all I can say is that breakfast was amazing. These down-to-the-wire games, though, are a different story altogether. I don't think I need to discuss with my doctor whether my heart is healthy enough for breakfast. I think I need to discuss whether my heart is healthy enough for Seattle Seahawks football games. During the 3 hours of every game this year, I think my dog and I are aging at the same rate. Offense is making huge steps in the right direction. We still have some issues to address, but hopefully the train is back on the tracks. Keep up the great work on the show. From Michael.
It's a fantastic email because breakfast. Yeah, all right. Well, I'm glad Michael was able to step up and do his part to ensure a Seahawks victory. I appreciate all the work to them as a couple. That's really great. And yeah, I think he's right though about the idea of your heart being healthy enough for Seahawks football, man, because I was on the edge of my seat that entire game. It was crazy.
Well, the Seahawks got up by 11 points, and at that point in the game, you're thinking, okay, just coast, right? Or get another score and put this game away. But knowing the Seahawks as we do and how they've played this season, you almost expected the Bills to come back and make it interesting at the end, and it didn't disappoint us.
Didn't disappoint us. Somehow the Seahawks at the end of the game give up a 3rd and 21. A 3rd and 21 that would have ended it. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you guys having like flashbacks like I was of like Chicago 2012, Atlanta 2012, just flashbacks, man. Like it's tough. It's tough when they do those things to me, man. But they managed to come up with a stop in the end. Thank goodness they were up 6 instead of just 3. I wouldn't have wanted to see that game go to overtime because clearly the first team with the ball would have scored a touchdown and that would have been the game. I mean, that's how that was going. The offenses both moved the ball up and down the field for the majority of the game especially the first half. And we saw Russell Wilson finally look like Russell Wilson again. And the knee brace smaller. The ankle tape's been off for a couple weeks. And I don't know what the scoop is with the pectoral thing, but I think I'm done wringing my hands about it. Guy looked like he can, just hose it down the field at any given point. There's some sexy deep balls involved.
There was, and one of them in particular, and we didn't play the highlights when we were talking to the guys with the Pedestrian Podcast, but one of the main highlights came right at the beginning of the game, a sexy deep ball to leading wide receiver, Doug Baldwin.
Graham wings on the left side, play fake, Russell's going to throw deep.
Hey, I'm Russell Wilson, and I throw a sexy deep ball.
Got a man, Doug Baldwin, chasing down the middle. He's got it to the 5-yard line. Doug Baldwin leaping, diving, down to the 3. What a pass by Russell Wilson. A beautiful arc on that ball, and Doug Baldwin just ran underneath it. A huge play. We talked about explosive plays prior to the game. A 50-yarder, and Russell gets right back to the line of scrimmage with the offense. 1st and goal from the 3.
It made me feel good to see that, too, because after watching the blocked punt and the Bills just, Tyrod Taylor walking into the end zone, one play, and to have that comeback of the offense, to drive it right down the field and get a quick score. Now, it didn't help their time of possession, but it helped me feel better as a fan watching that game that they could jump right back into it. And just a couple plays later, Russell Wilson matches Tyrod Taylor with his own walk into the end zone.
Jimmy Graham shifts over from right to left. The play fake. Russell is going to run around the right side. He is going to go in. Touchdown, Seahawks! If you can do it, I can do it. Tyrod Taylor did it a moment ago. Russell Wilson does it this time from 3 yards out. The keeper, and we're 1 point away from having a tie football game.
The other part about that play that was so important was the idea that Russell showed him that early in the game.
Yeah.
That running the ball for him was going to be a threat that you're going to at least have to pay attention to. And I wish I could tell you that opened up things in the running game in other ways, but that sure wasn't the case. I mean, I don't know about you, Brandon, but after watching him struggle to run the ball just a couple times, I mean, I was like, we're just throw it every down. Like, just throw it every down.
Essentially what they did. And one of the big problems with the running game, there's a big reason why you felt so frustrated by it. Sheil Kapadia had the article that came out this week that said on those 10 running plays, the Seahawks only did things properly as they were supposed to 3 out of those 10 plays.
And I'm guessing one of those was on a Tyler Lockett run because he was your leading rusher.
Yeah.
Of the game.
And he had to juke a guy in the backfield just to get downfield 13 yards. But yeah, 1 rush, 13 yards. Tyler Lockett, your leading rusher. Russell Wilson, number 2. So, there's progression for, I think Russell Wilson has now surpassed Tom Brady. So that's positive.
Right. Yeah. Finally takes over Tom Brady in rushing yards on the season, even though Tom Brady missed 4 games. That's just unbelievable. But it was so nice to see Russell Wilson get just a little bit of time against the Bills defensive front. That is a solid defensive front.
Yeah.
And the offensive line did a good enough job in that phase of the game for the Seahawks to actually get the ball up and down the field, and almost too efficiently, really.
Yeah, because we saw time of possession once again a problem for the team. And you're starting to see maybe that having a little bit of an impact on the defense. Maybe it was some other things. The secondary didn't look quite as good as it used to. Before we go there, though, I got an email here. You mentioned, Adam, Lucky Hat was in attendance at the game.
Yeah.
Got an email from Dan Hill, says, "Hey, gentlemen, after the litany of willing blame takers for the games, our boys have tied or lost."
Wait a second. I only have one question. Was Dan ever called in or emailed in and taken blame for a loss?
I don't know if Dan has.
I don't think he has. I know he's been with us since the very beginning of Flock of Donkeys, but I'm just saying, like, if he hasn't emailed in about taking blame for loss. So I'm just wanting to point that out.
Okay, well, it turns out, he says, "I feel it only right that I volunteered to take the blame for this win. It has been..."
Oh, sure. Okay. Now here you are, Dan. I got you.
"It has long been my favorite thing in the world to eat hoagie sandwiches while chilling with the wife and kids watching our Hawks. In fact, my ideal Thanksgiving is hoagies, chips, and football all day."
Are hoagie sandwiches like breakfast? Or is this hoagie sandwiches?
I think he literally means hoagie sandwiches.
Okay, I'm just checking. We got things, lines that are blurred on this.
Although Netflix and chillin', it means something different. I don't know if hoagie sandwiches and chillin' is...
That's not a thing. So it's literally you're eating a hoagie. Okay, good. All right. So he's filling up. He's got his hoagies.
We finally returned to the hoagie tradition after too long away. And what happens? I don't know exactly, but we did win, so there's that. Sorry for flubbing everything up. I take full responsibility for the win. Keep it cool, and thanks for the great podcast. I've been listening since day one and was also a devoted Flock of Donkeys listener. Keep up the good work of entertaining us 12s and sharing some enlightenment about our boys in blue, gray, white, and green. Go Hawks.
That's awesome. Hey, look, Dan, this is the funny part about your email. You mentioned that you didn't do the hoagies for a long time, and there were losses in there. Yeah, never took the blame for any of that. No, you're going to try to take credit for the win that has one and only source of credit. And that's the Lucky Hat. It was in attendance in the building. It got it done. Can't be. I take full responsibility for the win. Like Lucky Hat does. Nobody else can be doing that.
I feel like it should be podcast policy that when our team wins, we put the sole blame of winning on the performance of our team. But because the Lucky Hat was in attendance, I feel like maybe we have to make an exception.
That's what I'm saying. It's not often that it gets out there. I'm just, in a barn burner of a game. So nice try, Dan. Try. Don't steal my thunder.
And we got another email from Ross from the Pedestrian Podcast. Says, "Hey guys, Firstly, let me express my disappointment at my fellow UK podcast pals at the complete lack of faith about beating the Patriots in our upcoming game. I'll be having words with them once they return. Don't you worry about that. Now, on to my question. Jeremy Lane.
That's a big sigh.
His form over the past few weeks has been a big concern. He's regularly been caught out of position, and along with missed tackles, he's beginning to look like a liability. Is this just a blip, or should that be a position of concern going forward? Thanks, guys. Keep up the great work, Ross.
Jeremy Lane has not stood out to me one way or the other. I'd put it that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, sure, he's given up some stuff, and one of the things we don't know is there's so many injuries that aren't on the injury report. I mean, he could be, and by this point in the season, everybody's playing with something, so that could be a bit of a part of it. But I would chalk it up more to a blip. If it has been a little down than anything. That's a player I have a lot of confidence in.
I do too. I was concerned when I saw him on the Pro Football Focus list of worst players at their position for the week. And Jeremy Lane for slot corner was in that position. But then I looked and it said he was targeted 4 times in the slot and allowed all 4 to be caught, but only for 59 yards. When Robert Woods went off for,
it's over 10 yards a catch.
Yeah. No, almost 15 yards a catch.
Yeah.
And he missed a tackle. It's not a good ratio. But still, 60 yards passing against him just doesn't seem like a huge number when you consider that Robert Woods had almost 3 times that amount.
Sure, he was abusing everybody, so that's part of the equation there. Well, we'll see Jeremy Lane tested going into this Patriots game. I mean, he's going to end up probably on Edelman quite a bit, and that was a guy he was having success against before he got just blowing up as a human being in the Super Bowl.
I know, right on that interception too.
Yeah, his entire body exploded. But
I was wondering,
I think he'll
too,
be focused going forward.
I wonder if the DBs have a bit of an excuse, because looking back at that game, man, thank goodness our guys still have functioning kneecaps, because those Bills receivers, man, anytime they had the opportunity to block our defensive backs, going right at the knees, they were going low.
Yeah, definitely a strategy they employed, definitely within the rules. And it's one of those stylistic things that I had not picked up on tape watching them previously, but boy, it is effective. I mean, it really did help with their perimeter running, because that's where you saw the majority of their success was on the outside. Shady was as advertised. I mean, he was electric, man. I mean, I think my biggest problem was the missed tackles overall, and I pin about 20% of that on the Seahawks and 80% of that on Shady.
Yeah.
And Tyrod Taylor. I mean, Tyrod Taylor was very mobile. I understand why people hate playing Russell Wilson now. Like, I get it.
Right. Because Tyrod Taylor was
maddening.
They had him in the backfield multiple times. And weren't able to make the tackle.
Yeah, if they get that kind of pressure on Brady, those are sacks.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even though Brady is very adept at moving. But
he's adept at moving, and he also gets rid of it a lot quicker than Tyrod Taylor.
True. All true facts. But look, that Bills offense played, I don't know, maybe their best game of the year, I would say. They really did have it clicking on all cylinders. And really, the tail of the tape at the end of the day was third downs, man. They converted on so many third downs. I believe it was over 70%. They converted on like 5 for 5 of their 3rd and 1s, or 6 for 6, something like that.
Holy smokes. Anyways. Yeah.
And so when we talked about the time of possession a little bit earlier, we mentioned that the offense was able to move the ball, have drives, not many 3 and outs and that sort of thing. Well, you would think that would help even up time of possession, but this time in this game, this week, it was on the defense when it came to time of possession. They just couldn't get off the field. It's not that the Seahawks wouldn't do anything with the ball when they had the ball. They just couldn't get off the field. And that's been something that's been problematic for the last 3 games. And it's going to be the biggest, I promise you, it'll be the biggest thing Chris Richard and company focus on after this game.
Yeah, I hope so, because the defense coming up, this is going to be a tough game. And we keep alluding to it, but I want to keep going back to...
Yeah, I want to stay in the Bills game a little bit.
Let's stay on the Bills game a little bit. I want to talk about the play that everybody's talking about, and that ended the first half. And part of it was because, right after the game, you didn't have a chance to really digest everything that you see in the media. And you knew that it was going to be talked about, but maybe not to the extent Although it seems like every Monday Night Football game, there's controversy. And if it involves the Seahawks, it's going to be talked about all week.
And it's going to result in a win. So those are great games to me.
Exactly. Right.
Those are all great games.
As long as it turns out great for us. But you mentioned the fact that it was a good thing it didn't get into overtime because the coin flip would have decided it. And it turned out to be an important part of the game that Dan Carpenter didn't make that field goal. And there were so many things as part of that series that went wrong. And one really that isn't being talked about much that I want to bring up. But, just to lay things out for everybody who saw it, Richard Sherman, he did jump offside.
Yep. Now,
the one thing that I keep hearing about is this idea of unnecessary roughness with the kicker and him continuing to go after the whistle. And yet I didn't see where the whistle was blown in relation to when he stopped. And we did see that Richard Sherman did get fined for the play, about $9,000, mm-hmm. I think was reported. So
appearances. That's for appearances.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. There's no way that the league looks at that and says that that's a finable offense because, first off, I have seen one video where somebody timed up the audio with Sherman, the close-up of him, kind of going in where you see him really getting putting his hand on the ball. And the whistle came after he had touched the ball. So I just don't understand. Like you said, he played through the whistle. The officials made really no blatant movements to call the play dead. So he was doing his job. He's playing within the rules. And, one of the things I've heard which I believe in is, I'm sorry, Richard Sherman knows the rules better than you. You know what I mean? And the other thing that's not being talked about is the fact that Dan Carpenter aggressively decided to kick Sherman right in the body. That was kicker aggression, man. Like an aggressive, a male with too much aggressing is what Dan Carpenter looked like out there. We know what we should do with them.
We know what we should do with males with too much aggression. Exactly.
Thanks, Kayla Carpenter.
Dan Carpenter's wife knows. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. That kicker attacked Richard Sherman out there. No fine for Dan Carpenter.
How does Dan Carpenter not get fined for kicking Richard Sherman?
Look, man, it's just all about perspective. This league hates the Seahawks, clearly. And they love kickers.
Watching that play and watching it back, I thought for sure that the knee that Sherman ran into was the one that Dan Carpenter hurt.
Limped off?
But when you look at Dan Carpenter on the ground, it was the knee. The knee he was grabbing was with the leg that he kicked Richard Sherman with.
Right.
Which makes me wonder, why don't you just stop kicking? If if a guy is that close to blocking the field goal, why not stop?
Well, yeah. How many times? I don't know. I guess I just wouldn't be like, dum-da-dum, I'm just going to run it into. Maybe he was like, screw it, I get a free shot and I'm going to boot this dude.
Yeah, kind of like Aaron Rodgers with the free touchdown pass. You're just gonna go for it with the field goal kick.
Yeah, you might as well. And maybe the other thought process is if he does get into Richard, that he'll draw the flag.
Yeah, and be a lot closer because they were just kind of on the edge of field goal range, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, there was that series of plays. So he goes down to injury. Grabbing his leg. The trainers immediately come out on the field. I wish the Seahawks had trainers like the Bills, because I think they must have Mr. Miyagi'd his knee because he got right back up and ran off the field and no problems whatsoever coming back on and kicking a play later. But so
that's crazy. Huh.
I know. You just have to wonder.
Huh. Yeah.
They have a team of Mr. Miyagi's just on the sidelines.
Oh yeah, that was clearly magic. It couldn't possibly be the idea that maybe he just wasn't hurt.
No, a Montana guy wouldn't fake an injury like that. He wouldn't.
Shouldn't. He shouldn't.
Montana men don't flop, Adam.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's another thing on Dan Carpenter in this. Like everybody's on Richard Sherman. Like, man, don't flop. You're due for Montana. You get mad. You wake up in the morning and you punch a trout in the face just because you don't like the way he's looking at you. Like that's what you do. Like every morning, like I have a stare down with the grizzly bear just to see if he'll blink first. Like you don't flop. You don't flop.
Now there were a couple other areas where the officials screwed up because they couldn't kick the football. They had to bring on another football for another play. the non-kicking football. And the Bills line up. And I thought this was smart that they spiked the football, right, to be able to have another play to get their kicker back out there. But it turns out
was smart.
It turns out, no, much like KJ Wright punching the ball out of the end zone. No, the Bills should have been flagged for intentional grounding, Adam, because you cannot, if the clock is already stopped, you're not allowed to intentionally ground the football.
Really? I did not know that rule.
Yeah, it came out after the game.
And you couple that with the fact that the Walt Anderson's crew did not reset the play clock going, after that play. It was a series of disasters. Let's just put it that way.
And maybe they knew the rule and they just allowed it because it was just the whole cluster.
Dude, I promise you that was not going through their mind. That was the most bizarre end of a half ever. Like they were just trying to get these teams off the field.
Right.
Like half the team started to leave the field.
Yeah, and you have Walt Anderson shouting at him that the half isn't over yet.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it was just chaos. I mean, give the guys a break. I mean, I saw one headline. It was like, Walt Anderson must be punished. Dude, he's a human being. And like, they were trying out there. I'll give him that. They were trying. And look, the other thing is the Bills crying over this. Oh, man, referees are unfair. I got an idea. After all that's said and done, make the kick.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. We sat here after the Saints lost and said, yes, these penalties played a factor, but that's not why we lost. We said that specifically. There were other plays to be made in the football game to win the game. Like maybe score a touchdown at the end instead of getting stopped on fourth down.
Right.
Down in the red zone.
They're getting sacked by Cliff Averill. Pete Carroll called 2 timeouts to give you guys more time.
Oh, my God. And so, yeah, it just there are plenty of plays left out there for the Bills. And so for them to sit and cry, look, we had a game against the Saints. The calls went against us, and we lost. We had a call go for us, and we won. They balance out.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Here's an email talking about Jimmy Graham as well as the running game.
Good. Let's talk about Jimmy.
Yeah. Says, hey, guys, not to rehash too much from the post-game show, but the end of the first half controversy, in quotes, is a gigantic nothing burger. Main takeaway for me is that Russell Wilson finally looked like Russell Wilson. I'm not sure what they injected him with to allow him to actually have some ability, but more please. I don't know what else to say about Jimmy Graham other than that dude is playing superhuman right now. On to the bad. The running game is straight up catfish right now.
Yeah.
And I don't think the coaching staff really trust any of the backs on the roster right now. If Procise can show some type of competency, he's probably the best option. At least he can get the ball on short passes out of the backfield. Since I proclaimed Michael as the number 1 back, he has aged in dog years and very well could be watching the rest of the season from his couch. Defensively, I'm not worried in the long run, but they do look worn down, and it's starting to show. Looking forward to the Patriots game, but really worried about this one. Go Hawks, from Russ in Denver.
Hey, Russ, good to hear from you again, man. And yeah, the run game is abysmal, but I think he hit some on the head. Procise, I think, is your starter now.
Well, because it doesn't look like Rawls is going to be back for the Patriots game, but maybe the game after.
But he did practice this week.
Yes.
He did practice this week. That's finally a solid sign, man. I really feel like we're going to see him the following week. And I don't know, what is it, week 11 at that point? I mean, we've been talking about this forever. Yeah, this week is week 10, right? I don't know. They all blur together. It's Patriots week. That's all I know.
It's Patriots week. It's each team's played 8 games. They've had a bye. So yeah, this is week 10.
Okay, that's what I figured.
So he'll be back by week 11.
Okay, perfect. So I think getting Rawls back should help the running game. But again, this is a little bit like at the end of last year when we went into the playoff game against the Panthers. We're like, we'll get Marshawn Lynch back and then we'll be able to run the ball. And he got just stuffed, right out of the gate. So I'm not sure that Thomas Rawls will cure all that ails us, but here's hoping. But the idea that Russ is back, I mean, that's really what it's all about. I mean, we're gonna live and die by how far Russell Wilson can take us this year.
Yeah, and one thing that was really cool to see, Russell Wilson. We look at the Pro Football Focus numbers from time to time, and he rated out as the best quarterback at his position last week. And that's huge as he's coming back from injury. And you saw some of the throws that he made. That throw to Jimmy Graham, the second one in the back of the end zone, it looked like Graham had no chance at that ball. And that's a big part of Jimmy Graham, too, being able to catch that ball with one hand and when it looked like he was well covered. And
two hands, catching the ball with two hands, that's for suckers.
Yeah.
I don't know who even bothers. Yeah, it's just one hand.
Especially touchdown catches. I mean, you want a higher degree of difficulty, so it looks cool.
Yeah, just for the poster aspect of it. Then the other thing, putting people on posters. Talk about Jimmy Graham just going all out Olympian and just hurdling a dude.
Russell goes up under center with two tight ends. The play fake, and Russell's going to half roll left. He's going to dump it off Jimmy Graham, makes the catch. Far side, jumps over a man, and run out of bounds on the far sideline. Welcome to Skeets Nehemiah. Jimmy Graham hurdled Darby. I'm telling you, Ronald Darby's having a bad night for the Bills. That time, Jimmy Graham, not only a basketball player and Olympic hurdler, picks up a first down and a 15-yard gain.
Yeah, you don't want to be posterized like that. That's embarrassing.
No, that's a bad look, man. That's a bad look. But Jimmy Graham has now fully become integrated in the beast in this offense that we all thought we were getting last year in this trade. And for the first time, I feel like one of these big blockbuster trades that the Seahawks have made to increase the level of talent in the receiving corps has finally paid off. Like, it feels like it's finally paid off. And he's got enough games now on that knee to where I feel confident in it. Mm-hmm. And clearly he does. I mean, hurdling dudes, are you kidding me?
Right.
Like, I mean, it's unbelievable. And he is such a huge key part to this offense. And it's allowed us to take a little of the pressure off Tyler Lockett as he continues to work back in to being healthier. And it's really, it's been a giant benefit that way, because if we would have been relying on just Baldwin and Lockett as our number one threats, I mean, it would have been tough with Lockett with the knee injury.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
I mean, Jimmy Graham's been a saving grace, and I think I can finally say with confidence, trading Max Unger in a first-round pick was worth it.
Well, especially when you have Justin Britt playing at the top level of his position at center.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, Brittle pancakes for everyone.
I'm not willing to believe that they planned it that way, but I will accept that it worked out that way.
Sometimes life gives you happy mistakes, Brandon.
And Jimmy Graham, going back to him, I think he's got to have comeback player of the year locked up already.
Yeah, could be that. You could see Brady with that too.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
He will get votes for that. You know he will.
Well, he's going to get votes for MVP, but MVP right now, looking at Pro Football Focus did their mid-year awards, and guess who they have as their MVP?
Oh, probably Tom.
Russell Carrington Wilson, MVP.
No way. I think that's deserving. I mean, you look at where the Hawks are in the standings now and have a nice lead in the NFC West. I'm not going to say commanding. It's a nice lead. Mm-hmm. It's a great start. Considering all the injuries that he's played through, considering the offensive line that is the worst in pass protection, the worst in run blocking. I mean, he has been an absolute magician in the one steadying hand on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, it's hard. You almost want to make the defense MVP. You know what I mean? But it's always going to be an offensive player. It's always going to be a quarterback. And out of everybody in the league, I don't know anybody who's meant more to his team to this point.
Well, they do have Brady down as offensive player of the year, but listen to this facts, logic, and reason where it comes to Russell Wilson, because when we hear that, I think it's it's important to point it out. They say Monday Night Football made up my mind on this choice, with Russell Wilson bolting from the pack to earn the midseason MVP award at the last gasp. It's a tight race with multiple players having strong cases, but what Russell Wilson has been able to do, given his offensive line's quote-unquote protection, not to mention with an injured ankle, has been ridiculous. He currently sits fourth in Pro Football Focus's quarterback rankings with a grade of 87.9, but the Seahawks hold the lowest pass blocking grade as a unit in the entire league. And only 4 QBs have been under pressure at a greater rate than Wilson, 38.1% of his dropbacks. His performance on Monday night was a perfect example of how his play has mitigated that pressure, putting the ball in the air early to the right spot and allowing his receivers to go and make a play before the pressure arrives.
Man, they really summed it up. I mean, that's been the way that Russell Wilson has put the offense on his back this year. I mean, it really is. I mean, give him a cape because he's Superman. Like it's pretty amazing. I can't believe. I can't believe it's just it's been so fun to watch him progress throughout his career and now be a guy that we look at and we can legitimately say is an MVP caliber quarterback.
Yeah, and looking at the stats too, Russell Wilson 51 wins, the most. He's up there with the most wins in a quarterback in his first 5 seasons. He's behind Joe Flacco and Matt Ryan, but he still has 7 games left in the season. So he could lose 2 games and still tie with or pass. Yeah, he could lose 2 games and tie with Matt Ryan for that lead through 5 years.
It's surprising that you bring up Matt Ryan in that stat. He did play on some solid teams for the first 5 years of his career, but also because Matt Ryan's another guy that you look at and could say is in that MVP discussion. Yeah,
he was actually the runner-up in Pro Football Focus. They gave the runner-up award to Matt Ryan. So,
all right.
Yeah, and when you look at the offensive line, I think we should talk just quickly, before we move on to the Patriots, quickly about the offensive line. I looked at Pro Football Focus, and none of the guys along the offensive line were ranked as the worst.
I guess so. Silver linings. Okay.
Silver linings. But let me pull this up because I feel like we need to look at just who at left tackle should be ashamed of themselves. Ronnie Stanley, Baltimore Ravens left tackle, graded out 27.0. He had a sack, a quarterback hit, 3 quarterback hurries, and wasn't great in the run game, according to them. Ronnie Stanley, he's been playing left tackle for a good portion of his life.
Yeah.
George Fant has played 2 games.
And ranked higher than him?
And ranked higher. So take that for what it's worth.
That's... You're trying to get me to say something nice about Fant. And
you can say that
he looks good in his jersey, man. He does.
And he was better than Ronnie Stanley on the field this last week.
Fantastic. I guess that's a step in the right direction. I don't know. What is it? The Malcolm Gladwell rule that you have to have 10,000 repetitions at anything in your life to become a master at it?
He'll be retired by the time he gets to 10,000 repetitions.
That's what I'm saying.
He would have had a full Walter Jones type career and be retired.
Yeah. He's never going to get there. George Fant can physically, like his body, and just because of time, cannot master his position per Malcolm Gladwell.
Exactly. Well, Adam, what do you say?
So upside, hooray.
Complete upside. Nothing but upside, in fact.
Right.
What do you say we move on and talk about this matchup with the New England Patriots coming up on Monday Night Football, Adam?
It's Sunday Night Football.
It's one of the nights.
Yeah, Sunday night. I just want to make sure everybody tunes in on the right night. Plus, I want to do a Carrie Underwood impersonation again. Oh, Sunday night.
Now, with my mistake and your singing, this segment is almost assuredly to be cut in my post-edit show editing.
You're going to cut my singing out?
I feel like I should. It would make it a better show.
What?
I cut things to make it a better show, Adam.
Right. And you take out the unintentional comedy of my singing, and it's maybe not a better show.
You might be right. Unintentional comedy is pretty funny.
That's all I'm getting at. All right. You know what also is awesome is the intentional overall feeling from the media and the narrative coming from the media about how the Seahawks are hopelessly outclassed in this game. And while my first reaction seeing this come up on the schedule and knowing how the season has progressed up to this point and where the team is currently, I was a little worried. But then as I started to kind of dig into some stuff, this mighty Patriots team isn't the unbeatable juggernaut that they are advertised to be. They have chinks, they have weaknesses, and they happen to match up with a few of our strengths.
Whatever you're about to say, I'm still not sure you could convince me to not be worried going into this week. The Seahawks are 7.5 point underdogs, and that's significant because this is a team that does not lose by 7 points. In fact, going into their fourth quarter, they have a long record going back, I believe, until it was in 2011 was the last time that the Seahawks weren't in the lead or within a score in the fourth quarter of the game. You have to go all the way back to the Steelers when they lost 24-0 in 2011.
I remember that game. That was an ugly game.
Yeah, that was an ugly game. But that's how long it's been since the Seahawks have gone into the fourth quarter and not been within a score of winning.
Right. That gives you some... Look, I'm not saying not to worry. The Patriots are, right now, seemingly the best team in football. They're seemingly the most complete. I'm not telling you not to worry. I want to give you a little confidence. Because there's one thing... When you look at a matchup that doesn't seem favorable to you, and we haven't had to do this often as Seahawks fans over the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, we've walked into pretty much every game thinking we're Shaft, basically, and we're going to kick the butt out of anybody. We're going to kick their butt. So
we're going to kick the butt out of them. I think I like that better.
Tried to self-correct there, too. Like that was because I was gonna say something that needed a catfish, and then I tried to save myself, and it just didn't all work out. But anyhow, like you said, whatever it is I'm about to say, it's not gonna make you worry, or it's not gonna make you not worried. Well, let me give you just a little bit of confidence. Let me ask you one question, Brandon. What's the best way to beat Tom Brady? How do you beat Tom Brady? When have you seen him go down?
When you can get a pass rush on him.
That's exactly right. You get in Brady's face. You collapse a pocket, and then you make it tough on him, a la the AFC Championship game this last year against the Broncos, and he'll still make some plays, no doubt, but they are not the unstoppable juggernaut when you do that. The Seahawks this year are second in the league when it comes to sacking the quarterback. The Patriots, as far as allowing sacks, 21st in the league. That's the bottom third of the league. That's not, they actually give up more sacks than you might think. This Seahawks pass rush has a real chance. This defensive line that we have, even without Bennett, is still very deep. Frank Clark is playing out of his mind, man.
Even without Bennett, that's the part of this that I'm having the hardest time with, is the fact that the Seahawks are without Michael Bennett.
Man, if we could have Michael Bennett for this game, it would absolutely increase our chances. Absolutely. But the idea is that there's still enough there to make some noise. There really is. And I'm telling you, Frank Clark could have a huge game or a big game this week. And I really think part of our success hinges on his performance throughout this game. He's going to be the other guy that comes and brings pressure that we're going to need, because we all know Cliff, the housing commissioner, Averill, is going to be building more houses after this game. He's been literally unstoppable the last few weeks.
Holy smokes, no kidding. He's up there with the league lead in sacks, and the dude who is leading the league with the Bills, who we just played, they're going into their bye week. So this could be the chance for Cliff Averill to make it to the top of the league, and I would love to see him do it against Tom Brady. Everybody in Haiti would too. Free houses for everyone. Like that's what they're all hoping for there. But let's talk a little bit about. Well, while we're on defensive line, I think another guy that we're going to be looking for is Cassius Marsh. Okay. And I was a little bit worried about Cassius going into this week initially, because he had all his magic card decks stolen. Where is card decks magic? What's magic about? Magic the Gathering, the card game. What do you mean the Gathering? The card game? Have you ever heard of the card game where the people play? They have the magic deck. And that sounds like it's cheating if it's a magic deck. It's the name of the game, Adam. The name of the game is Magic? Yeah, Magic the Gathering. That's what it's called. Have you never heard of this? Why is it Magic the Gathering? Do you I don't get this. No, I've not heard about it. That is the title of the game. Okay. I know you're not in the Pokemon Go thing. I feel like this is probably, similar crowds. Maybe I don't know. I don't know anything about it. But it's a popular trading card game. And so it's trading cards. You collect the cards, but you can play games with the cards. It's not just like baseball cards where you collect the cards. Oh, it's not? It's also a game. It's a strategic game. Huh. Okay. Fine. I don't know anything about it. So, but he lost his magic decks. Well, he had a bunch of them in his backpack, and he tweets out. He asks people that whoever stole them, he's going to give you 2 tickets to the next home game if he gets his cards back. Wow, well, these are valuable. They're important to him. I bet it was Bobby Wagner. Because he likes, he probably stole them pretending to be a Ninja Turtle. I don't know, but apparently they got stolen out of his car. and his car window smashed, and he was pretty disappointed about it. And he had the names of every single one of these decks and tweeted them out. And but the cool thing is, Adam, is that the maker of the game, Wizards of the Coast, they saw Cassius Marsh's tweets, and they responded, and they met up with him. They kind of replaced what, and maybe even more so, of what he lost. So kind of a cool thing. So
I wonder if those cards have the same mojo though, like because he's like been to battle with these other cards, right? Like the original ones. I mean, I don't know.
It's important to me to know that Cassius Marsh was having a down week, and that
so his head's going to be right for this Patriots.
His head's going to be right now, thanks to the makers of the game, Wizards of the Coast. It's very cool.
Thank God. I didn't know what the keys to this game were. Now I know it was Cassius Marsh's magic cards.
Right.
Okay. Maybe let's talk about some things that are within this universe that are maybe not magic, like third down percentage. Because this is my biggest thing when I look at this game is in Brady and the Patriots and our defense, and it's going to be flat out third downs. And the thing about it is that the Patriots are good on third down. There's no doubt about that. But let us not forget that this Seahawks defense was the best in football in third down prevention through the first 5 weeks. And then the last 3 weeks, they've struggled. Now, let me ask you something, Brandon. What's there's a common factor there. Like, there was a player that we had and then a player that we didn't on the defense. And his name is Cameron Chancellor. Cam's back for this game. Cam means so much to this defense. One of the big reasons they've struggled on third down is the lack of Cam. And McCray's filled in fairly well. I'm not trying to kill McCray at all. Yeah. I'm happy Kelsey McCray is on this team. Thank you, Kelsey McCray.
Mm-hmm.
But Cam's just different, man. He's a different animal. Last time he saw Brady, he's playing on a busted knee. MCL torn. Still went out there and performed and dang near got us a win. Cam's going to be back for this game, and he's going to be huge when it comes to stopping third downs. And the other part of it is it's going to be huge having him there because we don't just have to worry about Gronk. We have to worry about the other brother Bennett. Yeah. Martellus has been tearing it up this year. He really has. He's a plus tight end. In fact, with Bennett, Gronk, and Graham, you have 3 of the top 5 tight ends in the league playing in this one game. This is going to be a tight ends fest.
Well, and you brought up Rob Gronkowski. And that is the one.
The way you say it, and you brought up Rob.
You had to bring him up. You had to bring him up.
Yeah, he plays in the game.
He does. Look, play the game.
If you want me to make you happier about Rob Gronkowski, I'll play you the video of Beast and Gronkowski playing video games together with Cohen. Like we can watch that again if you need to. If
we can watch that, and it'll make me happy. That's true.
Yeah. Okay.
But bringing him up, man, that's one guy. When you look at the Patriots team, that's one guy that even with Cam Chancellor, you have to wonder, is that guy someone you can cover? Or do you just have to accept that he's going to get Robert Woods type production against the Seahawks secondary?
You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. I mean, that's really it with Rob Gronkowski. And look, if we can, KJ Wright's been playing at a high level. One thing that I think we learned from the Super Bowl is if they split out Gronk wide, you cannot. Your response to that cannot be to trot KJ out to cover him. Mm-hmm. KJ's fine against pretty much everybody else in this league. It's Gronk. We're going to have to try something a little different. I'm not sure what it is. I wish I would have had more time to break that down and come up with a solution of my own. But good news is we got really smart dudes who coach the defense who know a heck of a lot more than I do that I'm sure have noticed the same thing.
If you trot Gronk out to that side, to Richard Sherman's side, let's say.
Sure.
Do you put Sherman on Gronk? One-on-one?
Why not?
That's what I wonder. Why not?
I mean, I understand it's a strength mismatch, but Sherman does have a lot of size for a corner.
Yeah, Gronk has a strength mismatch with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, he's a man among boys out there. I mean, it really is. So
the other thing that I look at too, with Cam Chancellor coming back, we have to remember that the last time these two teams played, Cam Chancellor was doing it on a torn MCL.
I just mentioned that earlier. You're 100% right.
I know. And when you mentioned it, it just popped back in my head that I believe this is something we need to think hard about.
I think it is too. And I do. I think Cam's going to have a huge impact on this defense. Just having him back spiritually for this team is huge. And the idea that I do believe Gronk is going to get his. The key is we're going to have to make sure Bennett is the one that we keep in check. You can't let them both go off.
Yeah.
You got to try to contain one. I think that's got to be Bennett. Now, that still leaves you Edelman and company with the receivers. We saw Edelman, he's a beast. He's an absolute beast. Jeremy Lane is going to have his hands full. But again, in the Super Bowl, he played well against Edelman until he was hurt.
Yeah, that was early on.
Yeah.
Right.
So I really feel like this defense has a chance to put in one of their best performances of the year. There are some things that work in their favor. Now, the other thing that we haven't talked about is our offense playing their defense. And the thing about New England is that they're not quite as dominant on defense as you might think. And the other small factor for them is the fact that they traded away their best defensive player, Jamie Collins.
Right, just weeks ago to the Browns.
Just weeks ago. This will be their first game they play without Jamie Collins. And that's a guy that even guys on their own team said that was the best defensive player on their team. Now, one thing about the Patriots is they're about middle of the pack play in the run. They're 15th in the league. We've played a few teams that have been middle of the road stopping the run, and we couldn't run the ball. We're not going to run the ball in this game. It's not going to happen.
Well, Pete has already resigned himself to the fact that they can just throw the football if they need to.
Yeah, I know, but it is a bummer. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is a bummer that that's the case. But with that said, the Patriots aren't great against the pass. They're really not a lockdown pass defense. And the first place this all starts and stops for us, as we talk about it ad nauseum, is the pass protection and making sure that Russell Wilson stays clean. We saw that the offensive line held their own against a very talented Bills defensive line. The thing about the Patriots is they're 28th in the league at sacking the quarterback. 28th. There's only 4 teams worse at it than they are.
And they don't have Jamie Collins now.
And now they don't have Jamie Collins. So I look at that and I think Russell Wilson's going to have a chance to get out there and carve some guys up. I think that is a huge advantage for the Seahawks. The other thing is these Patriots have been on a roll, but let's talk about some of the guys they faced up until this point. And I'm going to start with the best quarterback that they faced this year, Andy Dalton. That's the best quarterback they faced. Here's the list of the others. Carson Palmer, who's struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Tannehill, who used to play receiver. Brock Osweiler, he's a mess in Houston right now because of terrible coaching.
Another Montana quarterback, though. I think we need to mention that.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen Brock Osweiler flop.
No, he does not flop. Also, Tyrod Taylor, who we just saw this last week, and but again, the Bills beat the one loss was to the Bills and Tyrod Taylor
when Brady wasn't playing.
I understand that,
and
but the Bills
the Bills scored 16 points.
They still won.
Right.
Cody Kessler for the Browns and Landry Jones. This isn't murderer's row that these guys are stopping. Russell Wilson is easily the best quarterback that they're going to have to face up until this point of their season. I really like the idea of our pass offense taking advantage of a weak Patriots pass defense. I mean, look, when it comes down to just pure yardage, just pass yards, they're below average. They're 18th in the league. These guys can be had through the air. And with a guy like Jimmy Graham playing like he is, man, this is going to be a battle of 2 future Hall of Fame quarterbacks battling against 2 future Hall of Fame tight ends. And it's going to be who makes more plays in the end.
Yeah, the one thing that you didn't point out, though, the Patriots defense, number 2 in the league in points allowed right now. 16.5 points per game is what they're allowing.
Right.
And
we're number 3.
Right.
And the Patriots have only scored 25 points in 2 games. We've only given up 25 points or more in 2 games this season. And the last time the most points we've ever given up to Tom Brady is 26.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not like they're going to just go in and hang a 40 burger. It's going to be an affair that if we can keep our red zone defense is one of the best in the league when it comes percentage wise, one of the tops. We're actually second in the league when it comes to that. Patriots are good on offense of that, but if we can hold them to field goals instead of touchdowns, That's going to be a giant key to the game.
Yeah, red zone defense is key. The other thing that I think is really key, and we don't talk about this very much, and especially considering, all about the ball, Coach Carroll and turnovers. Mm-hmm. But this Seahawks team has won plenty of games where they've lost the turnover margin. This isn't one of those games where you can lose the turnover margin and beat the Patriots. You have to out turnover this Patriots team.
Or at least play them to a draw in that way.
Right. And then it comes down to the red zone.
Right, exactly. So
that's how I feel about it anyway.
And the thing is that the Seahawks are pretty darn good when it comes to not turning the ball over. I mean, 5th in the league. So as far as the offense is concerned. So it's not like they're going to be coughing it up, all over the place. I think it'll be a low turnover game. But, just like I thought the Bills game would be a 9-6 slugfest. Who the hell knows? May have been a little off on that prediction, folks.
I think you may have to predict a low-scoring game by the Seahawks so they can come out and do the exact opposite.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson's going to struggle. This offensive line has no chance. I mean, both Gronk and Bennett are going to go for 300-odd-some yards apiece and probably 4 scores each, and 7 years ago, too. Like, I don't know. This is going to be rough. There's no chance. There's no hope. No hope at all.
No hope. Well, one guy that I've been waiting to hear from, as soon as I saw that the Seahawks were going to be playing the Patriots on the schedule.
Conspiracies on. The Bloomspiracies.
And I just can't wait to get to this call, Adam. Let's see what Dave Bloomquist has to say.
And cue the X-Files music. Hey, Brandon. Hey, Adam. Dave Bloomquist here, Hong Kong Hawk. And I want to thank you guys for that recap show after the Monday night game. That was really cool. I hope we can hear more of those recaps. And I just wanted you to know that, yes, you were right. I was immediately thinking about my conspiracy theory, and I actually wrote a post on the Ring of Honor. I'll read that. So now we travel cross-country on a short week to face a team coming off their bye. A team facing their toughest opponent of the season. A team that was given an unprecedented 3 home games when their cheating quarterback was suspended to start the season. And my conspiracy theories are wacko? Judge for yourselves, my fellow 12s. And of course, that's accompanied by a picture of Roger Goodell about to put his hand on Robert Kraft's
catfish
sack. So as you can imagine, I am not very optimistic that we're going to get a win out of this. I think the deck is stacked against us, but I will be rooting hard. I took the day off so I can watch Monday morning, and I can just hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So go Hawks, and I hope I don't get penalized for picking the Patriots in the pick'em.
Is he really picking the Patriots in the pick'em?
Look, I can understand the feeling because we all know we've watched football this year. We see the Patriots and they do look like they're the number 1 team and everyone else. But you don't pick against your team
ever.
That's ruining the mojo. That's why we have the -40 rule in the pick'em in the first place.
And so here's the thing for Bloomquist. There's I just laid out a bunch of things that should help him feel a little more confident about picking his team like a man. Come on and do it. Now, look, the idea that they give the Patriots a bye right before we're going to travel out there and all that. Yeah, is that an advantage? Yes. Is it something the league sits down and thinks about? Maybe. I don't know. It's a lot like whining about the officials to me. Yeah, those are the circumstances. Maybe it goes against you. Maybe it goes for you at times. But at the end of the day, you got to make the plays and you just got to go out there and win. That's it. There's no, it's excuses. That's what those sound like to me. It's excuses.
Go out and win.
As to why you're going to go and pick the Patriots in the pick'em league.
Man, and for Dave, such a Patriots hater too, to be on board with that.
Oh, see, he'd feel so dirty. It was, say if he won that pick and did that like that, right? He'd have to shower for 3 days.
Yeah.
I mean, that couldn't come off. That'd be tough.
Right.
That'd be tough. And I don't know if they allow you that much water in Hong Kong.
Going back, the Seahawks prime time record, 16-3-1 is their prime time record under Coach Carroll since 2010. 16-3-1 in prime time games.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like 17-3-1 to me.
I like it.
Yeah. I don't know. Look, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and be like, Hawks are going to win this game hands down, no problem. Look, this is going to be a battle.
They do have a chance.
They have a very solid chance. They have a significant chance. And these are guys that their entire careers have been told no. Russell Wilson was told no. Sherman was told. I mean, you guys all know the stories. 2 first-round draft picks on this roster. There's not a lot of guys that came into this league high on the hog that are starters for this team. This team always plays its best when it's doubted the most. When they're told they can't. When they're told they're too small. They're not good enough. Their defense is tired. They don't have Bennett. You don't have Rawls. The Tom Brady is killing the league. He's going to take over everything. Man, that is a recipe for success for the Seahawks, man. You give them that narrative. Give them that bulletin board material. I promise you, these guys are going to come ready to freaking play.
Well, with that, let's take a break. Come back after the break. Let's hear what Clinton Bonner has to say about his segment this week and 3 in, 3 out.
On this week's 3 in, 3 out, it's the return of the sexy deep balls versus sexy Rexy's Bills. We know who came out on top, but what were the nooks, the crannies, and one-handed grabsies that made it so? Why are we talking Mount Rushmore, and did we observe a big-time lane violation? You're gonna have to read this week's article written exclusively for the Seahawkers podcast.
Thanks to Clinton Bonner. Definitely check out 3 in, 3 out at Seahawkerspodcast.com/3i30. And if you want to contribute, make sure you hashtag 3i30 with either an in or an out. And Clinton Bonner will be following those throughout the game.
Oh, you betcha, man. Get in with that. Clinton writes a great article every single week, and he's opening it up to you guys because much like with the show here, we want it to be kind of your show and get as much input from you guys as possible. Clint wants to do the same thing with the blog, man, and it's sweet. It's a fun experience.
And we got a lot to talk about in the second half of the show. We got some reviews on iTunes. We have some donations and some new members of the flock.
Awesome.
We got your email. And, of course, we got Do Better and Better at Life.
Perfect, man. Well, let's get into it.
And we got to talk about winners for the Pick'em Leagues, Adam.
So do you want to talk about me then?
No.
Are you sure?
We can just skip the segment altogether.
I feel like I must be close to the winners category this week.
You may be close, but you are in fact not a winner.
Oh, I'm not a winner?
I don't know if that makes you a loser completely, but definitely.
Well, I like how you softened it for me. So my little, if I were a millennial, I wouldn't cry about it. That's nice. No, you can call me a loser. I can take it.
Okay. I know you can.
Yeah. I'm a Gen Xer.
Hey, someone who's not a loser. Congrats to Washington State's new lieutenant governor and listener of the show, Cyrus Habib, Adam.
Okay, I know we said we would be politics free, and I don't know anything about Cyrus's politics. I don't, because I don't live in Washington. But I know he's a good dude, and he listens to the show. He's a fellow 12. He's a good dude, and so I'm really excited for him. I hope it's everything that it's cracked up to be, and that sounds like a lot of responsibility, so good luck, dude. Well, more than I'd want on my plate.
Yeah, no kidding. But in the spirit of bipartisanship, Adam, I'd also like to congratulate any of our other listeners who won their election this week.
Yes, yeah. If you happen to be in a position of power, let us know. I mean, it would be kind of nice. Kind of nice to know.
We would congratulate you on the show, just like we did Cyrus.
Exactly, and not to expect any favors in the future whatsoever.
All right. Well, let's look down the leaderboard of our Seahawkers podcast Pick'em League. At the top, Easley Street, number 1, ahead by 40 points.
Man,
I know.
He can't being on top, man. Easley Street's been putting it together, week in, week out, solid. I mean, give him credit. That's some consistency.
I know. I think when you pick a solid name like that, it probably helps propel you into
the mojo helps, man. The mojo helps.
You got M Jelly 20 at 1,120 points, and then followed up in third place, tied between the Drop Bears and DMK 555.
Awesome, man. You guys are killing it, but I'm not far behind at 980. I'm closing in. And the weeks have been strong, week in, week out. And I made awesome picks this week.
You were up there pretty close.
Yeah, but 40 this week? No, I'm talking about this upcoming week. We just recorded the pick show, man. And I made awesome picks. Awesome picks. This week's going to be good for me.
Oh, you're talking about this upcoming week.
Yeah, dude, I made awesome picks. They're going to be great.
Well, you can't get any awesomer than Roden Kelly Sr. This last week. 220 points.
Holy hell,
of
seriously?
The leaderboard.
Is that a perfect week?
That's what you get when you pick a perfect week.
Who was that again?
Roden Kelly Sr. Looks like the username is.
Oh, well, fantastic. I hope they're so proud right now. A button pops right off their shirt.
Well, you know what I'm going to do?
I don't know that I've seen a perfect week yet.
We haven't seen a perfect week. And so what I'm going to do, email in, or I will look down the list of those who have submitted their usernames. And Roden Kelly Sr. gets to choose between a pair of the Seahawks uniform pants that we ordered at the beginning of the season, or trousers.
I was going to say, not pants. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I know. You say pants, and they start wondering
People
about
lose their
underwear
mind.
and things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But either that or a Dangerous Wilson poster.
Ooh, good prizes. And well deserved, man. With the
You pick a
220
perfect week, you get a prize. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. I'm impressed. But that lets you know, like, you pull off a perfect week, you could make up some huge points on people.
Oh yeah, 220 points. Holy smokes!
That's
surprised
massive.
We're not seeing them up in among the leaders after a week like that. That is huge.
Maybe they went to auto pick for a week or something. I don't know.
Well, looking over at the Seahawkers Podcast Patron League, and we do prizes in this one every single week. I need to get these sent out here shortly too. And that reminds me, stickers, Adam. I have started sending out stickers. I sent out the first batch today.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic, man.
And the Easley Street leading up this league as well. The Drop Bears right behind, and followed by Rawls Out, Balls Out in third place.
Ooh, man. All right. Kind of the same names we hear week in, week out. They're sticking up there.
They're generally good at picking, it seems like.
I guess. All right. I'm going to start looking back at their picks just to see. I'm just curious.
And the leader of week 9 in the Seahawkers Podcast Patron League, Montesnix, with 160 points.
I bet you that's a Montana resident.
It could be.
I'm just guessing.
Yes, if that is you and you got 160 points in our Seahawkers Podcast Patron League, make sure and send us an email or hit us up on the website. Go Hawks at Seahawkerspodcast.com or any other way through the website at Seahawkerspodcast.com.
And so to get into the Pick'em League, though, that's pretty easy to do. If I'm not, or the Patron League, that's easy to do. Like, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, really all you got to do is you go to patreon.com and you find the Seahawks Podcast and you donate. What is it? Like, it's a lot of money. I know it's an absorbent amount of money per month we ask for to participate in the kind of, I guess, premium league. I guess you'd always put it.
$3 a month gets you into
$3 a month.
I know. Are you out now?
That's highway robbery. We're trying to get rich off this podcast. Clearly, we're a couple of just money grubbers, man. Like that must be it.
It must be. That's the only explanation.
Yeah, I mean,
not the fact that we have to pay for the prizes or anything. But.
Oh no, we're greedy, man. Like, we do this to hear ourselves talk because that's fun, and to feel like a big deal and to make tons and tons of money, and then run for president.
Man, we're almost to step 1 of that plan.
Hear ourselves talk.
Well, we've started we've got that part down. Mm-hmm. But yes, you can go to getintheflock.com and join there. See, we've made it even easier because spelling Patreon is too difficult. Just go to getintheflock.com.
You betcha.
And like I said, we're sending out stickers.
And there were some people who did just that this last week.
Yes. Number 1, Aaron Lane. He'll be getting stickers in the mail here soon. Not with this first batch, but as soon as we get through the next batch. And then we have a couple new Ring of Honor members. Jeremy Minor, he moves up. And we hung out with Jeremy. He sat 2 seats away from him at the football game this weekend.
Jeremy's awesome, dude. Him and Rode, it was fantastic for me to finally get to meet them both face to face.
Yeah, and that was my first time meeting Jeremy too. We've talked to Ro plenty of times, or I have. Yeah. And then also another person that we met at the game, John Tisdale. Well, you met I've met John down at the San Francisco game last year in Santa Clara.
Yeah, but the first time I got to meet John, really great dude. I know I keep saying that, they're really great people, but that's the thing. This community is full of really great people. It's amazing.
And he will be joining the Ring of Honor as well. Speaking of great people, we have an executive producer for this week's show, Adam.
Executive producer? Okay.
When you donate $100 to the show, you get executive producer credit for this episode of the show.
All right.
Episode 131.
So who do we take our marching orders from this week?
Radu Margarant. He will be giving us some,
wow, man.
And maybe marching orders for the show, for the next show, but just an incredibly generous donation. Thanks, Radu. That is huge.
Can't thank you enough, man. Like when you hear amounts like that, I mean, we're talking like $3 a month. And when somebody's like that generous, it's just like, wow.
Yeah. It covered our gas out to Seattle, essentially.
It really did. It makes those trips doable for me. That's for sure. But, one thing we talked a little bit about last month about it being Flocktober, to get in the flock.
Yeah.
Well, this month being November, I figured out what we're calling this month to get more people in the flock, because we need more of you. It's fun having the flock together. Is Mo members.
Mo members.
Yeah. Instead of November, Mo members. So you know what we were hoping for this month? Mo members. Get in the flock.com. Let's go, folks.
I like it. Well, what do you say we get onto some reviews and email at them?
Mm-hmm.
Couple of reviews here. First one, a 3-star. This is a real 3-star review, Adam, not the meh ones that we called out
Seriously?
for before. This is actual 3-star review from TZ Shaw 29.
Okay.
If you like listening to Seattle Bias, Adam Emmert is a goof. Reminds me of the guys you see at the bar that is a Hawks fan but doesn't understand the game. Seahawks can do no wrong, according to Adam, and this podcast gets old fast. I'm going to listen to the UK podcast.
Well, okay then. That's interesting. You'd think if you're listening to another Seahawks podcast that you'd be a Seahawks fan of some kind, but he's right. I never say the team does anything wrong. So
no, and that's a fair. I wonder
if review.
Some people get our names wrong. I tend to wonder if this criticism is more for me.
Oh, I know this is for me. He's a goof. That's probably me.
I don't know. I'm pretty goofy too.
Well, that's true, I guess. I don't know.
You know more about the game than me, so I could be the one that doesn't understand the game.
But How do I know more about the game?
Well, neither of us really know the game. I mean, we're fans. We're not.
I'll say this, Brandon. I'll put, if you just take random fan from whatever fandom and you put him up against us to talk about football, I'd put my football knowledge up against any other guy who didn't play or wasn't a coach in the game.
Fan knowledge.
Fan knowledge. Okay. I know that both of our fan knowledge is high. I don't worry about it. But hey, thanks for the review, man. 3 stars. You know what 3 stars isn't? 1 star.
It's 2 stars better than 1 star.
Yeah. So whichever one of us you didn't find quite as annoying, which is probably you, you pulled us up a couple stars. So thanks, Brandon.
And there's nothing wrong with going to listen to the Pedestrian podcast either.
Not at all. They do good work. I hope he enjoys it over there.
I know. At least if you're going to listen to a Seahawks, I mean, you should find one Seahawks podcast that you like to listen to.
Yeah. No, the funny part is he's like, oh, if you like to listen to Seahawks Bias, so lo and behold, you got some on a Seahawks fan podcast. Oh, my
Seattle
stars!
Bias?
I'm sorry to shock you.
Well, here's a 5-star review to pick us up from All Become Me. This podcast is
catfish.
Good. Be careful. This podcast is very addictive.
Yeah, it's the heroin we sprinkle into your stream.
Mm-hmm.
It's what it does. Makes you think the Seahawks can do no wrong.
Exactly.
But thank you very much for the 5-star review. It is kind, and that's the thing. Is like we have so many that come in that are very positive, and we thank you guys for that. And it's great. And I don't care if it's 1, 3, 5, whatever it is. Hit the review button, man. The more reviews we get, the higher we rise in the rankings. It does help, and it helps other fans find it and decide if they like it or not.
I just think it's cool that we got a legitimate 3-star review. Like
that's the first one ever.
We had to ask for 3-star reviews before. Now we're getting legitimate ones.
Yeah, that's fine.
I know. I'm into it. Well, Adam, let's get into some email.
Okay.
I don't know if you get the reference either. I've been drawing out the E on email for a while. I don't remember. Do you remember listening to George Ostrom on KOFI with his meanwhile?
I remember George Ostrom, but I do not remember that being his catchphrase.
Oh, yeah. The meanwhile.
I just remember him
catfish
about Canadian Border Patrol constantly.
Oh.
Like he's always getting harassed at the border, like going back and forth. And he's old. He's like he's kind of like Paul Harvey, but
he's the Paul Harvey of the Flathead Valley.
Of the Flathead Valley, and that was definitely something that we listened to growing up.
Well, that's just my little throwback to him because I'm working with him at KOFI.
Well, a nod. All right,
a little nod to good old G George. All right, here's one from Matt from New Jersey. It says, first of all, Thanks as always for everything. The season has been pretty tough so far, but you guys have definitely helped make it easier. To any listeners who aren't subscribed to the All 32 Picks and IPAs podcast, do better. Besides Jared, I refuse to spell it the way he does.
Hey, good for you. Good for you.
It's a ton of fun, and they get to curse. I don't know about you, but I enjoy a good F-bomb every now and then, and boy, does Adam do a good job with them. Great content.
A lot of practice, Matt. A lot of practice.
Great content, great laughs, and lots of great information from around the NFL. But back to Hawks. We've got a great team. And when you look at the skill positions, quarterbacks, and obviously our defense is playing amazing, but it's becoming clearer every week that our O-line is not going to just fix itself. I don't want to skip too far ahead, but I was curious where you guys think the team can make some cap space for a better O-line next season. Who's expendable? Who's up for a new contract, etc. Also, I have a theory that the podcast Hakra is a bit off balance. Change the opening clip of Adam talking about drafting tackles and replace it with something more positive. And I truly believe that the positive Hakra will then emanate outward into the universe, and our Seahawks will then have the proper spiritual balance to get into the playoffs and win another Super Bowl. I would like to add that I have pretty much no idea what I'm talking about, but I think it sounded pretty convincing. Thanks as always for everything. You guys rock. Go Hawks. From Matt.
Go Hawk. Matt, look, I know you said you just sounded like that you didn't know anything. You sounded like you knew everything. That's a brilliant suggestion. We got I think you took it to heart, correct?
I did take it to heart. I put it in the intro. I changed it up for the last episode when we did the post-game show for the Bills. So yes, I think it's important where we're noticing maybe the Hawker a bit off balance, that we have to balance it out. And I think that was it. We were due anyway for a new intro, and this was the motivation I needed to get it done.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, Matt, bring suggestions like that all day, man. That's great. And look, I'm glad you enjoy the occasional F-bomb, and that is a great reason to choose or tune into Picks and IPAs. Also, if you want to hear killer picks each week, you can do that too, because I deliver them like gold.
You've been delivering lately. I do have to admit that. You're going down this week, though.
No, I'm not. Those are beautiful.
You may score 60 points.
You mean 160 points?
No. I think you're 100 long on that.
I think somehow you're stuttering before you say 100, and you're supposed to be saying 160.
Before we move on, let's talk about, Matt, and this idea about the offensive line and where the team can make some cap space for the O-line next season. Where do you see it, Adam? We actually talked a little bit about this on the trip over, thinking ahead ourselves. Mm-hmm. And because it does appear that you just can't spend the minimal amount on an offensive line from season to season, I feel like they need to dedicate a little bit more money there to balance things out.
They do. They have to find a way to do that. And we talked, the two guys that really this next offseason that their contracts aren't due up, but they're due for extensions via the precedent that Schneider has set with the 3 years play on your deal and then get re-up, is either Bennett or Cam. And look, when everybody was killing Bennett about the idea that he wanted more money and everything, this is why right here. He gets hurt. That could have been a lot worse than it was. Mm-hmm. And now your ability to make money on that next contract has now decreased a lot. So that's when everybody says selfish, overpaid athlete, like that's where they're coming from. But to get on to the question to Bennett and Cam. Look, we're going to see this team play without Bennett for a few weeks, so I guess that's one way to evaluate it. We've seen it play without Cam for a few weeks, and look, Kelsey McRae is no Cam Chancellor, but the defense can function with Kelsey McRae. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that we can, sustain it going forward without Michael Bennett. And look, Cam's at that point in his career too, where the body does just break down. He got injured. The bye beat him this last week, and we haven't seen it. Or these last few weeks, mm-hmm. We haven't seen it.
Yeah, coming out of the bye is when he got injured.
So for me, I trade Cam. I let him go do something. And then I use that money and I sign 3 mid-tier offensive linemen.
Right, because Cam does still have 1 year under his contract.
That's what I'm saying.
But it does jump significantly, and that was a big reason for his holdout. He saw the writing on the wall, essentially, and that it was a possibility. So I do think that points per game is a good measure of when you can point to one guy being out. And this team was without Cam Chancellor. Points per game still did very well. And I think it was almost even with historically having Kelsey McRae in there to match up with how many points they're giving up per game. Now, you maybe have to factor in opponents and things, but like you said, competence-wise seems sufficient. And yeah, I think I don't want to see this defense much longer without Michael Bennett, because getting pressure on the quarterback ultimately is the measure of, you see it with so many defensive teams winning championships. It's because they can get pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah. No, and you put it in a nutshell right there. So that's my thoughts on it. We'll see what happens. Heck, we might just pay them both and play with 4 offensive linemen next year.
Yeah, because that's all you can field.
That's all you can field.
Uh-huh.
I don't think there's a flag for too few men on the field.
I don't think there is either, but it does. Your offense would struggle.
Who knows? Maybe Russell Wilson can overcome that too.
Yeah, well, he can use another challenge. Why not? This is going to be a topic that we carry through the offseason, though, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
Here's one from Garrett in Espanola at Strachan Banks on Twitter. Hey, guys, what a first half. Jimmy Graham is back to being the player we traded our best O-lineman for, and with only one hand, too. Would like to see more out of C. Michael, but at least Wilson was lighting the defense up. With the rushing TD, do you think we will still have to listen to Wilson's knee woes? Oh, well. Gotta love Carpenter leaving the game, then missing the kick. That's what happens when you try to get away with a soccer-like dive.
Exactly.
As for the second half, I know that Sherman's INT at the beginning of the third quarter wasn't the same situation, but when I saw the ball in the air going to that back corner and Sherman tracking it, I knew a good outcome would come about. All I could think of was the immaculate deflection. With the exception of some key plays, our defense just doesn't seem like us. Definitely have some work to do. Not a fan of giving up more than 20 points back-to-back. Offense fell flat in the third. Oh, why, Chris Richard? Was awesome seeing Moore make such impactful tackles. That fourth quarter was nerve-wracking. What a game, what a win, what a Monday Night Football game. Best of the primetime games this year by far. Oh, and the best fans in the world, from Garrett. Yeah, and Garrett brings up a good point about Moore on the defensive line, right? Because that was a guy that we kind of, joked about. It's cute that that's the guy that they got at the trade deadline.
I think I was a little more searing than that, because all I talk about is the good things the Seahawks do. But seriously, bringing a defensive lineman instead of offensive lineman. But he played well.
He did. He made some plays. He jumped off the screen for a guy on the defensive line making tackles.
Yeah. No, there's a lot to that. I think the idea that Garrett brought up too is how much we're going to have to hear about Russell's knee and the injuries for a while, but it's going to be lesser every week as he performs better and better as this continues to get healthier and healthier. So I think that's one thing that you won't have to deal with. And, you talk about the woes of the offense and struggling, down the stretch. Well, heck, the healthier he gets and the further on we go, you're going to have less of that too. So I think all signs point up.
Shane Roberts in Clearwater, Kansas says, well, you guys got to see an exciting game Monday night. A little more exciting than it should have been. I think we are all a little concerned about the defense after what Buffalo did. Maybe you'll touch on this in the podcast, but I am wondering about the secondary and Jeremy Lane. I thought the Hawks played press coverage, and this meant being up on the receiver and knocking him off his route when he releases. Am I mistaken, or do we not play press coverage anymore? Because the DBs are almost always 8 to 10 yards off their man, and it drives me nuts. If they can't play tight man-to-man, they need to be replaced. As for Jeremy Lane, I've always thought he was a great player, and it was a huge loss when he went down in the Super Bowl. But now, to me, he seems to be a liability. He struggles in coverage and making tackles. Am I being overcritical, or do you see it too? Thanks for the awesome podcast. Go Hawks, from Shane in Clearwater.
Hey, thanks for listening all the way in Kansas, man. But, some people coming out with shots fired at Jeremy Lane. Shots fired, Brandon.
You have one down week, and people are going after you.
Woo, standard be high.
Well, we do have a high standard for Jeremy Lane. I mean, he got paid this offseason, right? And he was kind of a guy that I think we maybe expected a little more flash from than we've been seeing this year.
Dude, you know what I love about Jeremy Lane up until this last game? I haven't had to think about it.
Yeah, well, that's part of the thing. He just made it himself noticeable. And we talked about before, it wasn't completely bad. But what about the press coverage thing? And do you want to speak to that a little bit, Adam? Because I know it does kind of tend to be a matchup situation, and it may be down and distance situation as well. You don't see them playing press coverage, especially when it's 3rd and long, and maybe that is a little bit frustrating because they tend to keep their eyes on the quarterback, but it also allows the players to kind of sneak in within the zones and pick up, 23 yards on a 3rd and 21.
Yeah, that soft kind of prevent play off the man, and I hate that crap, man. I hate that crap. What got you to that point to where they're in 3rd and 21?
Mm-hmm.
You played bump and run. You got in their face. You knocked them off their routes, and you said, you can't beat me deep. Then do that when it comes time to try to beat you deep. Like, I get the philosophy of it. I do. Just in practice, it doesn't work. I mean, it does sometimes, but it's just maddening, man. It feels like you give up more doing that and then you get an offense in rhythm, right? Because if you start playing that soft coverage and that off coverage, then it lets a quarterback get in rhythm as well. And then you convert a couple 3rd downs, and the quarterback gets some confidence and all that. And I think that all plays a factor into it. And I'd love to see him play even more physical than they do.
And the other reason why I say it's a matchup issue is because when you have a running quarterback like Tyrod Taylor, you tend to want to have the defensive back's eyes on the quarterback.
You play a lot more zone. Yeah.
See when he escapes the pocket. And and one of the good things about seeing when a player escapes the pocket is you can do something like Richard Sherman does and give the receiver a little bump because there is no illegal contact once the receiver's out there, once the quarterback is outside the pocket.
I like how you call laying a dude the catfish out.
It's a little bump.
A little bump.
It's a little bump.
Just a little bump.
The receiver can't handle a little bump. I mean, he doesn't deserve to catch the ball anyway.
Yeah, that's what he gets. I'm surprised that doesn't happen on more plays around the league.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I'm really surprised. The second a quarterback leaves a pocket, that every receiver isn't leveled.
I think defensive backs are scared to get penalties.
I guess. I mean, that could be a part of it. It is tough because they do call it awful tough on DBs overall throughout the league. I mean, because they want more offense.
Yeah. Alex from the Bay Area writes in, says, hey guys, I love the show and have been listening for years. I have a couple of questions. Number one, I've been thinking about getting a second jersey, and I can't pick between Cliff Averill and Jimmy Graham. Ooh. I already have Sherman's jersey because he's the best corner in the game, but I can't pick between what I believe is the best pass rusher and the best tight end. I'm a broke college student, so I can't really afford more than one. Do you have any thoughts? Number two, until Bennett and Chancellor are healthy, should I expect performances like the past couple weeks? Thanks, guys. I appreciate everything you guys do, and I'm looking forward to an awesome season.
Well, thanks, Alex, and especially down in the Bay Area. I know it's tough to get Seahawks news, but to your jersey question, this is real simple to me. Basically, he has a Sherman jersey already, right?
Yeah.
And he plays defense. Go with Jimmy and get an offensive player, and now, depending on how you're feeling, if you're feeling like a little more defensive on a day or a little more offense, you can go either way.
I do like that.
And if you buy a Jimmy Graham jersey, I heard that you can start to open beers with just one hand. Like, you don't even need to, because two hands for suckers.
I do like Cliff Averill, though. That was the one jersey that I looked for when I was in Seattle. And the bummer thing to me, in the Stadium Pro Shop, Adam, I couldn't find a Cliff Averill jersey.
Really?
Didn't see one.
Interesting. I was looking for hoodies, so I didn't notice that.
No, I was looking for Cliff Averill. Didn't see one. Disappointing.
Yeah, I'm not a jersey buyer, so yeah, that is a bummer.
That's one guy, though, that, even before all of his work with Haiti.
You've always been big with Cliff Averill.
I know. Sure. I know. But neither guy.
Rightfully so.
Both really good guys, too. So that's I could see that being a tough decision.
Yeah, especially with Jimmy's backstory and all that, man.
I know.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That'd be my suggestion.
Balance it out and go offense.
Yeah, go offense. Plus, double eights looks cool.
It does. Here's the last one from Mike King. Holy
Catfish!
Yep.
That was an entertaining game. Watching Tyrod Taylor slip through the hands of would-be tacklers is completely mind-numbing. That must be how fans of every other team feel like when they have to face Russell.
Matt and I are on the same wavelength.
Indeed. However, Rex, let's dial it back with the trolling a bit. Not only did he name Harvin as the team captain for the game, he also had him wear number 11. Poke the bear much? And look how it worked out for you. Idiot. I might say that Rex should do better. But then again, buffoon/villain might just be the perfect role for him. Thanks for the great show, guys. I look forward to it every week from Arizona. No doubt the lucky hat played its part in this win. And one more quick note to Brandon. Big ups for you for the help you've given me finding a place to watch my Hawks on the road. It was a big help. On to New England. Go Hawks from Mike.
All right, Mike. I think I called him Matt earlier. I'm sorry, dude. It's hard. It's a lot of names. We had Matt earlier. Well, Mike, one of the things you brought up was Rex. And my only question for Rex on all the trolling is, what has this ever actually given you an advantage? Like, I mean, I don't know that it ever has. So at that point, then, is it just for his own personal amusement? And if it is, then fine. Go ahead. But Percy Harvin didn't do squat in that game.
No.
I mean, fine.
Well, that's a good lead in to our Do Better segment, Adam.
You bet. Do better. Who you got?
My Do Better this week is for Dean Blandino, Vice President of Officiating for the NFL.
Dino Blandino?
Dino Blandino. And the reason why he landed on my list this week, it wasn't so much that his comments about Richard Sherman. If he wants to say that if he feels that should be a 15-yard penalty, as the VP of officiating, he can definitely have an educated opinion on the rule book. It seems to me from what I've read is that if you do get your hand on the ball, that the kicker is fair game. But apparently, maybe there's something else that he's looking at as far as it being unnecessary roughness. I don't know. But the fact is, calling out the refs before he even had a chance to talk to them. He was on Twitter during the Monday Night Football game and tweeting out, calling out the refs, saying essentially that they should have flagged Richard Sherman on that particular play. And to be calling out your employees, like you don't usually when you hear things from your boss, it's kind of in a private scenario.
Right.
You don't want to find out
for a couple of days.
Yeah.
They call you into the office and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to find out that your boss is calling you out publicly during the game, calling into question your integrity while you are on the field, calling a game as a referee. That to me is really bad form for a guy to be doing stuff like that. And that's how you lose your referees by doing stuff like that. It just, you want to actually talk to them before you give an opinion as the league. Sit them down, say, hey, what did you see here? Because this is what I saw. I want to hear from you. What did you see on this particular play and understand what it was like? Because that's the big criticism that players give a lot of these rule makers, right? Is that they've never played the game. And you don't know what it's like to be reffing a game either. To know what it takes. You saw the confusion in those final minutes.
Oh, man.
It just, to me, to be second guessing your refs as they're making the calls on the field. Man, Dean Blandino, do better.
I can't imagine like working in the sawmill and like setting up to grind a wheel with all the equipment and maybe I mismeasure the wheel the first time or like whatever. And in the middle of it, like having some dude behind my back, like tweeting out Adam of the Rant doesn't know what the
catfish
he's doing right now. He's a complete idiot. He screwed this up 3 different ways. Man, that'd be so demoralizing.
You want your boss to, if there's some kind of misunderstanding or dissatisfaction, to come to you first.
Yeah. Well, my do better this week, Brandon, is for a guy who I promise you doesn't tweet out things about his employees when he's not happy with them. In fact, he's a man of few words overall in a lot of ways. And my do better this week is for none other than Bill Belichick. And Brandon, we've got a little clip. Why don't you go ahead and play that? This is when he was being asked about Donald Trump reading a letter saying that Bill Belichick had written to him endorsing him the day before the election.
Trump read the letter.
Seattle.
So your team's always been good at keeping outside distractions on the outside. Given the nature of this presidential race,
Seattle.
did you find it helpful to talk to your players about this? If any of your players talk to you about this, are there any concerns about any locker room rancor as a result of this?
And that's it. He just pauses for about 10 seconds as he waits for somebody to answer a question. And that comes from Ben Volen on Twitter, posted that video.
It's freaking hilarious. So look, Bill Belichick gets up there and they start asking him a difficult question, something that is outside of the Patriots' purview usually. I mean, and he hates that stuff. But instead, he develops a case of city name Tourette's. He's first he starts off, it's just one Seattle. And then the guy continues the question, Seattle. It's like it was a safe word or something, he just started saying it as fast as he could just to try to get out of the question. And look, not only that, but if you're going to do something like that, Bill, you can't just plagiarize from somebody else. He basically was just stealing beast mode behavior. I can understand that the candidate that he endorsed in the letter, that his wife likes to lift things from other people and plagiarize it. No, Bill Belichick obviously is a fan of that sort of thing, so he did it himself. He stole Beast Mode's game and just started with one-word responses. Bill, you can't steal Beast Mode. You can't steal the way that he deals with the press, and you got to find out a better way to deal with a controversial question the day before the election that the American people really do have a right to know if that was true or not, just so we know if Donald's telling the truth or not. That's all. I was just curious. So for all that, Bill Belichick, do better.
Hey, we got to see some Marshawn Lynch this week with the thank you letters that he's still not a fan of Jimmy Fallon. You have to watch it. If you haven't seen it, go to facebook.com/Seahawkers podcast.
I'm not a fan of Jimmy Fallon. Is that what you said?
No, Marshawn Lynch, not a fan.
Oh, he's not? Really?
No. Well, remember because Jimmy Fallon, the superlatives, and he always made fun of Marshawn Lynch because his eyes are kind of crossed in his team photo. Yeah. And I guess Marshawn didn't take kindly to that much.
Oh, really? I had no idea there was a feud there.
Oh, he dropped a catfish bomb on Jimmy Fallon the first time, and he dropped one again here in the thank you letters as well.
Fantastic. All right, I'm going to have to watch this. This is great. Jimmy Fallon has grown on me. There's a time I didn't like Jimmy Fallon, but the more I've watched him, that's a talented guy.
Yeah.
I like him.
I do too. Who else do you like in your Better at Life segment this week?
My Better at Life this week will be short and sweet, but it's for a Seattle Seahawks player who is not only making his triumphant return to the field this week, but also having a triumphant week in life. My Better at Life this week is for Cam Chancellor. Cam Chancellor, he got engaged this last week.
Oh, very nice.
I think that's pretty cool. And I don't have a lot to say about it other than congratulations, Cam. You are better at life than Skip Bayless.
That maybe just propels him a little extra mojo for this game coming up against the Patriots.
Yeah, she said yes.
She said yes. You called him out as being better at life than Skip Bayless. This is everything that he's going to need to have a huge game.
Dude, I'm trying to get the Hawker aligned for Cam.
Well, my Better at Life this week goes out to the Seahawks for putting out an outstanding salute to service event on Monday night. And
holy smokes, I can't believe we forgot to talk about the intro, so I'm really glad you're bringing this.
But yeah, there was the great flyover by the Washington National Guard, the Segways for Vets program at halftime, highlighting all those vets getting the Segways to help them move around. That was such a cool program to highlight and see. That flyover, man, was incredible. All the men and women serving in our armed forces, thank you to all who have served, and you are better at life than Skip Bayless.
That was a great choice by you because you guys all know on the podcast, I mean, we talked about the Kaepernick thing. I'm not into the flags. I'm not into the whole pomp and circumstance and all that stuff usually. It's not my thing. Holy
catfish!
You said fly over.
Yeah.
That's inaccurate, Brandon. That was a fly through. They flew into the freaking stadium, through the gaps in the end zones with giant flags dangling from them, right in front of the fans. It was halfway. I mean, it was down past the upper deck, seemingly. I mean, just in the moment. And I didn't expect that either. You could see him hovering, waiting until, and the singer was great too. Like, wait until everything was going to go off without hands?
I have to say, I love it when military people sing the anthem because they sing it straight. There's no none of the fancy, all the extra things that singers tend to put in.
He was money. And then the helicopters came in. They came into our backs because we were in the south end zone, and all of a sudden they just appear like just right through the gap of the stadium. It was intense. The hairs on my neck stood up, man. Like that was so. First, the American flag comes through. Then, if you want to get a sense of it, Brandon put up an awesome video of it. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I was really blown away by that.
When they do the flyovers with the Blackhawks, it's cool when they have like the F-18s, the any jet that's really fast. It's kind of cool when they fly over, but you don't get that same experience of when the helicopters come hovering over, and it's very different. It's very cool.
It was intense. And shout out to the pilots, man. The skill of those pilots.
Yeah.
To literally fly through the stadium and that the Seahawks, the city of Seattle, the military, all have the trust. They're like, they won't screw this up. I mean, that'd be a bad day if that went wrong.
And that's a very narrow window that they're flying through for sure.
Very narrow with the giant flag hanging from the bottom.
Yeah.
I just couldn't have been more impressed. I'm really glad you brought it up, and you're right. They're better at life to Skip Bayless. And the whole presentation, otherwise, just like you said, they put on a good event.
Yes. So, yes, happy Veterans Day to everyone out there. And
happy Veterans Day to you, my friend.
Oh, well, thank you, sir.
Yeah. But anyways, thanks, everybody, for contributing this week. A lot of great emails. We appreciate all of you. Be sure to get in the flock, getintheflock.com. And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks! Thanks for tuning in to this week's show. As we mentioned, if you want to help support the show, you can go to getintheflock.com, but there's other ways to support the show too. You can go to seahawkerspodcast.com/support. If you're going to a away game and want tickets, you can go there. There's plenty of other things. Or if you're looking for that next Seahawks jersey, go to Fanatics and you can click on our link at seahawkerspodcast.com/support. Get your gear through there, and a little percentage kicks back to the show.
You bet, man. That's, again, you're doing it anyways. So hook a brother up. I don't know. That's too much to ask.
seahawkerspodcast.com/support. Thanks again for supporting the show.